We should not be deceptive. We should not use deceptive arguments. And here's a list of deceptive arguments that I've heard. I'm going to denounce them. Bringing up intersex anomalies when the subject is trans people. When somebody who does not believe that a man can be changed into a woman or a woman changed into a man, that is still what you started with. Deep down in the cells and the reality of it, it's still a man, it's just a mutilated man, or still a woman, it's just a mutilated woman. One, that does not deny the humanity of the person. That's actually acknowledging and giving them credit for being something good that they are. But when that subject comes up, and people are debating about that, debating about whether it should be a crime to call somebody he that wants to be called she, or she that wants to be called he, or some other completely made-up word for a pronoun instead of using real words. Some people bring up these people who have these conditions. They have XXY or YYX or triple X, or there's some of the other ones I've looked up when I was preparing for this. There might be some conditions where the hormones aren't affected. The cells have a genetic anomaly where the hormones don't affect them. Or there are people with unusually shaped and sized genitals that when they come out and they're born, the doctors do misdiagnose them. But that's deceptive to bring them up when the debate or subject at hand is fully biological males and fully biological females, and whether it should be a crime to misgender them, whether we should alter certificates of a historical event. Specifically in this case it's birth certificates, but any certificate of a historical event. Should we ever alter those? No. That certifies what happened. Okay, enough of that one. It's deceptive to bring something up that you're not willing to act on or do something about. Specifically, when people have talked about abortion, I've heard people who want abortion to be completely legal in all circumstances for everybody all the time, and even paid for by the government. Some of these people, when they're asked about it and they're in a discussion about it, but what about rape? What about a rape exception in the law? If you're not willing to, vote for the other abortions to be banned, then it's deceptive to bring up the rape exception. If you're not willing to compromise and ban the convenience abortions. So I guess that's enough to say about that. That's the deceptive thing to do. Alright, finally to religious arguments. This is a hodgepodge of subjects. And now some of these are deceptive arguments people have used on religion. So that job is already taken is used by people denouncing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That is a deceptive argument to make because our teaching is not that we are going to overthrow Father in heaven. So then we're not trying to take his job. You should never say that job is already taken when the person about whom you are speaking, or the group about whom you are speaking, is not planning to take the job. Guns off the streets. There are corrupt politicians who chant guns off the streets, guns off the streets, we need to get guns off the streets. But they don't really mean it. It's deceptive to, say something you don't really mean. When we say guns on the streets, off the streets. We're talking about the guns used in crimes. That's obviously an idiom for guns used in crimes. But some of these corrupt politicians are the ones who want no prisons, no bail, no, which means no punishment, and the guns used in crimes, the guns on the street, they don't put themselves there, they don't load themselves, they don't point themselves. There's a person behind every one of those guns when somebody dies. So you're not really actually trying to get crimes down or the guns used in crimes to not be there anymore if the reason for those guns being used in a crime is back out there on the streets. Some of these corrupt politicians or advocacy groups, not just the politicians but advocacy groups, deceitful advocacy groups, they follow up the chant of guns off the streets with ideas for harassing the people that aren't committing crimes with guns, the peaceful law-abiding people. Their guns aren't the ones committing crimes, so you're not doing anything about the guns used by criminals when you hassle the guy with no criminal background trying to use his fundamental human right to self-defense. To self-defense. There is no fundamental human right to recreation, to target shooting. Any gun that you have a human right to is a potential self-defense gun, not a toy gun or a gun that you would not want to have with you in war. Alright. It's deceptive to chant Black Lives Matter as an argument when your opponent believes that Black Lives Matter. And if you don't really believe Black Lives Matter, that's another reason that it's a deceptive argument to chant Black Lives Matter. Yep, so it's if somebody doesn't agree with you about a problem black people have, it doesn't prove that they don't care about black people's lives. If they're not going to lie about police, that doesn't mean they don't care about black lives. And if you really care about black lives, you will not lie against the police trying to save black lives. You will thank the police for trying to save black lives, because that's what the police do. I'm not saying that the police force is 100% not one single officer with any racism or misbehavior, but the vast majority are not that. Vast majority of police in the United States of America are taking that job for the love of their city, the love of people, an honest wage, good middle class wage. They're not taking that job to get rich. You don't get a $10 million a year contract from being a police officer. You don't get paid the same money for an arrest as a police officer that a movie star gets for being in a movie. So the police are doing that. And another thing that's deceptive about Black Lives Matter chanting that is there is an official group. There's a group with a headquarters and a chain of command and an executive, a head. They probably have a board of directors. Capital B, capital L, capital M, Black Lives Matter. It's a name of a group. And some people have looked into that group, and their disagreement is not about whether Black Lives Matter. It's with the group, capital B, capital L, capital M, Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter is not sticking to the subject of black lives. They are having opinions about everything, which means they don't care about black lives. At least they're not using their group to care about Black lives. They're using their group with that name that we all agree with, using that what would be a non-controversial name if so many people weren't using it to lie, and if that group wasn't using that name to advocate for things that have nothing to do with Black lives. And they come right out on their website and say that they are Marxist. So, some people don't like the phrase Black Lives Matter because of that, not because they do not care about Black lives. Next one. Jesus is enough. Jesus is all I need is a deceptive argument when you're using that argument against people who are not looking for a second Savior, second God, second Redeemer. Difference in understanding about how to apply Jesus' atonement does not mean somebody is looking for a different Jesus, a second Jesus, another Savior. So it's deceptive to use the argument Jesus is enough against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which dogmatically, clearly teaches Jesus is all we ever have had and all we ever will have, and that's a good thing. Sometimes it's not a good thing when you only have one option left. When there's been a pandemic scare buy of something, and there's only one of whatever it is left in the store, it's the one that nobody wants, and that's not a good thing when you have one option. In that not hypothetical but realistic scenario. Yeah, but so using the phrase marriage equality is deceptive because some of the people that say that aren't actually for marriage equality. Why do I say that? Well, those of you who like to chant marriage equality, do you want polygamists to have their marriages recognized by the government? Do you want it to be legal? It's not even legal right now. Before the Obergefell Supreme Court ruling, homosexual marriage was legal. It was not recognized. Big difference. Important difference. Right now, polygamous marriages are not legal. They're more than just not recognized. They're not legal. You're really not for marriage equality if your foundational principles or definition of marriage is love and whoever they love or whoever they want, because there are people that want 2, 3. And so it's deceptive to use the phrase marriage equality if you're not actually for marriage equality. I am for marriage equality, but I don't see polygamy, if we're using the proper definitions of marriage, proper reasons, sensible, historic, sociological, scientific reasons for marriage, then I don't see polygamists as having such a claim. But if you're a big fan of the Obergefell Supreme Court ruling and you're not recognizing the polygamists' fundamental human rights, then I curse you. You evil piece, you bad person. You're a very bad person. Now, if you're against polygamous marriage, and you are against the Obergefell ruling, maybe you're not being so deceitful or hypocritical. But marriage equality would mean everyone being equal treatment under the law. We had that before Obergefell. We've had marriage equality in the United States of America since the Love Supreme Court ruling, which was, I forgot to call them what we really should call them, the Supreme Anarchist ruling. The Supreme Anarchists got that one right. They got this case titled, there's an official name for every Supreme Court case so we can keep track of them, so we're sure we're talking about the right one. when we were talking about supreme anarchist cases. But the love, is it love or loving? No, love, I think it was. That was a great Supreme Court ruling. There was not marriage equality in that instance, and the Supreme Court stood up for actual marriage equality. Now, see, if there's person A and person B and person C, and person A and person B both have the option of marrying person C, that is marriage equality. That is, they both have the option of C. Now, if person A and B don't have each other as an option, but they both have C, they're being treated equally. They both have the same options. That's what equal treatment means. Alright, next one is, you can never repay Jesus Christ's suffering. It's deceptive to say that because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints does not teach that our obedience to God repays all of Jesus' suffering. Jesus' suffering is so great, so immense, that we don't ever actually repay him. But that doesn't mean that God doesn't care what we do, and, you know, us obeying God's commandments. But now you know, in case you heard somebody make that deceptive argument, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints do not look at themselves as completely repaying Jesus for all he has done for us. And will do. And he's still running the show, so he's still doing things for us. It's deceptive to call your side of the argument, whatever the argument is, pro fill in the blank thing that your enemy in the argument, not deathly killing and shooting each other, stabbing each other enemy, but let's use the word opponent. Opponent has less of a connotation of trying to kill each other. So you should never call your side of an argument pro fill in the blank word that your opponent in the argument is not against. The only example I can think of in this one is pro-choice. There are people who call themselves pro-choice, but their opponents are not against choice. Let's dig in a little deeper in case you don't know what I'm talking about. The subject that they're debating about is abortion. A mother who's pregnant, having that little baby growing in her taken out and killed by doctors. Well, you know, it's still an abortion if it's done by herself with a coat hanger or a strange guy on the street who never went to medical school. Strange guy in an alley. But should it be legal for that to happen, or should there be restrictions on that? The people that want abortion banned are not for rape. That would be a violation of choice if a woman doesn't get to choose. Now, it's, you could say there's a debate about when the choice takes place, or, you know, but you can't honestly say somebody who wants abortion banned is forcing a woman to get pregnant if that person is against rape, wants rape to be illegal, because guess what? You never get pregnant because of somebody coughing in your face, somebody walking by you breathing like the common cold, the flu, or the Wuhan coronavirus. And you don't get pregnant because of genetics. It's not a genetic condition like asthma or cystic fibrosis. And while some people are more fertile or less fertile, You don't just suddenly get pregnant because of a genetic weakness like some cancers. People just, boom, they've got the cancer because of a genetic weakness, but they didn't do something to get it. But you get pregnant because of doing things. You choose to do those things. So if you don't want to be pregnant, you don't have sex. And so people who are saying you made the choice when you had sex are not taking choice. Look, they just pointed out to you that you made the choice when you had sex. See, they're not taking away choice. There is no movement among Christians or atheists in the United States of America to eliminate choice. Maybe some other time I'll do another video. There is a culture in the world that is against women having a choice about whether to have sex. But it's not Western, it's not Christian, it's not Western atheist. Next one. If you claim you are for safety of a certain item, that means people being safe with that item. You should never, it's deceitful to name your group a fill-in-blank safety group when you're trying to ban the thing completely. You know, learn from the honesty of those who want drugs to be illegal. The people who want drugs to be illegal, recreational drugs to be illegal, I'm not talking about people that want legitimate medicines to be illegal, but people who want recreational drugs to be illegal, they have not founded groups calling themselves a drug safety group, a heroin safety group, a fentanyl safety group, at the same time trying to completely ban those things at all times, in all places. But there are groups in the United States of America, and maybe in other countries too, I know the most about the United States of America, which call themselves gun safety groups. But they're not concerned about gun safety. They are wanting to ban all guns. Now, they talk more about certain kinds of guns because they're, taking it one bite at a time, step at a time, ratcheting them up. There's more than one way to point out. They're patiently pushing towards an eventual goal of banning all guns. And so it's deceitful to call yourself a gun safety group or gun safety organization when you're actually trying to ban guns. There are gun safety groups. The National Rifle Association of America is a gun safety group. They teach gun safety classes. They have Eddie Eagle, a cartoon to teach gun safety to kids. Eddie Eagle's got a little slogan and dance he does. There's and they have an older version and newer version that teaches the same message, but the newer version is the higher quality graphics. If you see a gun, stop. Don't touch. Well, there's hand motions to go with it. Let's see. It's stop. Hand up for stop. Don't touch. Run. Hold your arms like you're running. Go and tell an adult. Stop. Don't touch. Run. Tell an adult. That's a real gun safety group. They're having cute cartoons. Teach little kids, if you see a gun lying around, you don't play with it. Alright. And deceptive arguments against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints include accusing us of not believing the Bible. One person who I've had some recent back and forth with in the comments section on YouTube videos actually accused us of not believing specifically the prophecies in the Bible about things happening in Israel, Judea, the Middle East, whatever you want to call that plot of land in the last days. And there is absolutely no truth to what that idiot was saying. Was he an idiot or was he dishonest? Well, he didn't know the difference between Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U''R-E. He was typing the one when it should have been the other. But he claimed he had the proof he claimed I should go to LDS Living. Okay, LDS Living is not the official church website. We have an official church website. So it's deceptive to ever tell anyone to learn about the Church of Jesus Christ at any other website other than the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints official website. And the quote that at first he just said, Bruce R. McConkie said, and I told him I thought he was wrong about that. I think I might have told him he was lying. I told him he was wrong about that. That I'm sure Bruce R. McConkie didn't say that. But even if he did, he's not the prophet, not president of the church. He finally put the quote up a few comments later. And the quote never said anything denouncing the idea of the prophecies of things happening in Jerusalem. Not one little peep in this quote that this person said proved that we believe that nothing is going to happen in the Middle East, that none of the prophecies about Jesus coming to Jerusalem are going to be true. But whew, actually the quote said nothing of the sort. So the person either is a very low intelligence. One evidence for that is him not knowing the difference between your and your, or he's extremely dishonest, because the quote he put up in the comment section had said nothing of the sort of what he claimed it said. Alright, thank you for watching. You have a good day.